Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. I have 2 more items. Not both cards, like I said before. We're just going to be doing, I actually forgot, but I did have like an A2 card, which is just kind of your basic card. I'm just going to remove my mat so I can get the scoring done. And so all you need is one solid card base, and this is cut at 8.5 by 5.5. And so this is scored right in the middle at 4.25. You need one of the beautiful designer papers, and so that will layer up on the front, and this is cut at 4 by 5.25. We have the same size piece but cut in white, and that will go on the inside for your message and your sentiment. And again, 4 by 5.25. And then we have a cut apart. This cut apart is 3 by 4. And so our piece that we are going to be layering on this is cut at 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And the reason why I cut them a little bit smaller is, is so that we have a smaller border all the way around the outside. So relatively simple. I did want to show you a couple of the samples. So this is one I just kind of kept pretty basic. I may add maybe a few rhinestones or something to maybe add a little bit. I did add a little bit of baker's twine to this one, and I had originally put a bow there, but I don't know, it looked too much. So I just left the bow off. And then this one where I wrapped some twine around the top and the bottom. And so all of these, the cut apart as well as the layers are just up on some, what's it called? Foam tape. That's what it is. Foam tape. So I've got 3 cards done already. Just the A2, I'm just going to call it an A2 card because that's it's pretty basic, but can look absolutely fabulous. So for this card, like I said, you're going to take your base, you're going to score it at 4 1/4. I'm going to just move this so that I can bring out my mat. This makes cleanup so easy. I get glue on it, and it's just a matter of wiping it off usually, and you're good to go. So once it's scored, you're going to fold that in half. You don't necessarily need to score it either, but I like to because I feel like the folds are a little bit more crisp, even if you use a bone folder. Whoops, as I launch it across the room. Even if you use a bone folder, if you don't score it, then sometimes the fold cannot be quite as crisp. But like I said, I've done it too, and it totally works. So I'm just going to take some of my glue and get these pieces layered. I'm super excited because we have a fabulous gift card holder to also go through, which is a little bit more involved. So I'm kind of glad that it kind of paired up like this, which is something a little bit easier with something maybe a little bit more challenging. But you know, even by saying challenging, I don't mean it's certainly not difficult by any means. And hopefully you will find that it is not challenging. Hopefully you will agree with me. So we have a wonderful polka dot, and this is going to layer up on there, and our white is going to go in the middle. Let me just get that. So not in the middle, on the inside, which I guess technically is the middle, supposedly, I guess, theoretically. So this just goes right like this. Always trying to maintain as equal of a border as you possibly can. I love liquid glue for that reason, because you can kind of move it around. Okay, so for the front, I really should have gone through my baker's twine in advance because I know I have one that is like that blue. At least I believe I do. You don't even have to use blue. You could use purple if you wanted to, pink. I've got this color that might be fun against the pink. I think I might use that one because I do have some other colors, but I don't think... The pinks are like pale as well, and I like to use something that's a little bit more contrasting. So I think I'm going to... you can do a bunch of different things if you wanted to, but I think I'm going to wrap this like I did the other one. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go vertically this time instead of horizontally. So what I'm going to do first, and this is what I did with the last ones, is I'm going to grab my big roll of foam tape. So this is, I think, 1/8 of an inch. No, it's not 1/8 of an inch. It's a 1/16 of an inch in terms of its puffiness. I know that can't possibly be the right word, but the height of it is only a 1/16 of an inch, and I really like using that, especially if it's going to be something that I'm going to be mailing. Then, you know, I don't have to really worry too much about things getting stuck, it not fitting into the that little envelope thing that the slot that they test your mail to make sure that it can actually fit. So anyhow, so thankfully we don't have to really worry about that unless you're adding a lot of layers and the layers are all on the foam. Then that can be it can be a bit much. So what I'm going to do here, so I've got my 3 pieces of foam tape, and I'm going to try my best. This stuff is super difficult to remove the backing, and then once you remove the backing, sometimes it sticks to everything. Like there's just that, oh, I had it there for a second. There we go. And oh my gosh, it actually worked. Okay, so I'm going to take some and I'm just going to start it at the back, and this way I have something to stick it to while I wrap it. And the rest of the twine doesn't have to necessarily be on the sticky, but you definitely want to make sure that the beginning and end are. There's still plenty of foam tape to adhere to the paper, as well as my fingers. So we could certainly do it to the other side. We could wrap it around the top too and kind of give it that present look. But I like it just off to the side. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then we're just going to adhere that to the top. And that gives me my last card. So now I have 4 of these, which is amazing. I've totally lost track of the count now. But by the end of this, we will have, I'll definitely count them. So these were the ones that we did last time. We did the gatefold. So I got 4 gatefolds here. I have 2 of what I call the altered Z fold that fold out like this. We've got our little area for message. So just in this pack alone, we have 4, 8, 10. So there's 10 just in this packet alone. And you know what? I'm curious now. I know we're going to be adding to this, but it's really going to be just the, what's it called again? Gift card holder. So let's go through some of these that we have. So we did some of the reverse easels. I did 2 of these. Right? So we've got our reverse easels here. Got 2. We have 2 of our crisscross fun fold cards. So this, the belly band comes off, opens, And then we have our card on the inside. Let me just fit that back on really quickly, hopefully. So we've got 2 of those. So far we're at 4. We have these amazing bendy cards, which will stick up like so. We've got 2 of those because those worked with the wider and taller cut apart. And we only had 2 of those, so I only felt the need to do 2. So now we're at 6. We have the Fabbulous. We've got 3 of these Fabbulous fancy M-fold. No, fancy M-fold. Fabbulous fancy M-fold. So we've got 3 of those. So now we are at 9. We have our double, I'm just trying to figure out how many are here. So we have our double flap. We've got 2 of these, and these fold out like this, and then out again. We have our sentiment on the inside. So 2 of those brings us to 11. Our double Z with our blank at the back, so you can put your message. So we've got 4 of those, bringing us to 15. Yes, 15. We have our altered Z fold. So this is just the single. So now 17. We have 4, no, sorry. Yeah, we have 4 gate folds. These are the ones that we did last time. Just some open simply like that. So 4, that's 21. And then we also have 4 of these A2 cards, bringing us to 25. So that's 25 cards, all from one 12 by 12 paper pack. It's amazing. So this particular paper pack, if you don't remember, came with 2 sheets of cut aparts and a sticker sheet. So once I'm done with the gift card holders, I will show you what I have left. There is more that I can certainly do, but I really wanted to wrap up the series. If I do have any more to add to it, then I can certainly come back and absolutely do that. But I just wanted to run through really quickly all of the cards that we have, which easily could do for an entire year. Of course, there are some, you know, maybe the more momentous occasions, like when somebody's turning 40 or 50 or, you know, 25. Where did that number come? 21, I think, is what I was thinking of. Anyhow, so, okay. So here is all the paper, cardstock, and, you know, fun stuff that we will need for our gift card holder. Okay, so we are going to start off with a base, and the base is cut at 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. And this needs to be scored at 3/8, at 2 7/8, and then again at 5 3/8. So this is actually going to make our little holder. So that's going to put the outside. That's going to make the outside, not put the outside. It's going to make the outside. We are also going to need 2 pieces of, I'm using the same exact color. And we've got 1 piece that is 2 1/4 by 4 1/8. And we have 1 piece that is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. Whoa. Okay. I'm not sure what just fell, but something did. Okay. Anywho. Never mind. Okay, so that is that for the solid base color that we're using. We're also going to need 3 pieces of designer paper. And as you can see, the pieces are not big. So what I did was I started cutting this with the leftovers that I had. And of course, you don't have to make it as intricate. If you wanted to make, there are some simpler gift card holders that you could absolutely work the designer paper into. That works totally well. So for the designer paper, we have a piece here that is cut at 2 1/8 by 4. We have a piece that is cut 2 1/8, 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. And the last piece is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And so those are the designer pieces that we need. We also have cut, or I've cut, 2 pieces that are 2 inches. This one is by 3 1/4, and this one is 2 inches by 2 inches by 3 1/4, 2 inches by 3 3/4. 2 inches by 3 3/4. Just making sure I said that right. And the very last thing, oh my gosh, I think I actually misplaced it now. The last thing that we need is a piece of Ziplock bag. That's all this has been cut from. And so what I've done with a Ziplock bag is I've chopped off the bottom. So the bottom seam, we don't need it all. We don't need that top part that has the little Ziplock. So this is just cut from a large Ziplock bag, like one of those large freezer bags. And so I've left the seams intact, but you will need to cut those off as well. Ultimately, all we need is a piece that is cut at 7/8 of an inch by 8 inches. So this ends up being closer to like 10 1/2 once you trim the seams. I'm just going to take my scissors, trim those off. So from one loop, you actually get 2 pieces. We only need 1 piece for right now. I'm going to get rid of the seams that we just cut off, and we can get to it. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be scoring. So I've already scored this piece. So we've scored it at 3/8 of an inch, at 2 7/8, and lastly at 5 3/8. And how we're going to fold this is we're going to fold all the fold lines. So the 3/8 of an inch, and then we're going to fold the 2 7/8. And then lastly, this last fold comes inwards. And you can see how that creates your gift card, the outside of your gift card holder. Okay, perfect. So on this piece, I'm going to move some of this away, and I'm going to bring in, I got an itty bitty self-healing mat. You will either need this if you're using a X-Acto blade. If you are using an X-Acto blade, definitely use something to protect your work surface, whether it's a self-healing mat or I've used cutting boards, that kind of thing would be absolutely required. So what we are going to do with this last piece, okay, so I've got my folds like this. Everything is folded inward with the exception of this middle fold line. So we're going to fold like this. And from the right hand side, so from the fold on the outside, we are going to take our ruler and we are going to measure 1 1/4 inches from the fold line. So that is going to be right in the middle. I'm going to take my, doesn't matter if it's a pen or a pencil. I'm just going to make a quick little line where that is in the middle. I am going to do the exact same thing to the top, measure in 1 1/4 inches. And then from there, we're going to basically be carving out a little path for the Ziploc bag to sit in. And that's going to be our mechanism that moves both pieces at the same time. So when you pull this piece, the bottom slides out. So this is how that mechanism works. It's all based on this Ziploc bag. So this is the channel that we're going to actually give the Ziploc bag to move. So what I'm doing now is on my ruler, the mark that I made just now, I'm going to line up the 1/2 inch mark with that. The 1/2 inch mark on my ruler is lined up to the 1 1/4 inch mark that I made on the paper. And I'm going to mark the 0 and the 1. And so what I'm doing now is, I'm a little bit high, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just going to kind of extend those marks a little bit. So what I'm doing now is I want a 1 inch channel for my Ziploc bag to move within. That's why we cut that at 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do the exact same thing at the top. So I'm lining up my 1/2 inch on my ruler. And now I'm going to make a mark at 1 inch and a mark at the 0. And that way I know where to stay between. So the last thing I'm wanting to do is I'm going down to the 1/8 of an inch and I'm making 2 marks at 2 marks on the paper, so I know where we need to cut across. So that is an 1/8. You can, oops, take your ruler and just kind of connect those two. So that's basically what we're going to be cutting out. We're going to be cutting out this part right here. I'm just going to color it in. So all this part is actually going to be cut away just on this one tab. So I'm going to repeat the exact same thing on here. I'm making a 1/8 of an inch mark here. And then I was going to cheat and just kind of draw a freehand, but I know how my freehand works. It doesn't. So I'm going to draw those 2 lines and then now I'm going to connect them. I'm also going to bring these lines a little bit further down so I have a better sense of what needs to be cut away. So I take my X-Acto blade. I'm just going to press down there. I'm going to cut down there. And then you can take your ruler, and it's just being used as a guide. Don't push into the ruler, just use it as a guide. And we're going to, oh, it needs to be cut just a little bit more. So that's what we're going to be discarding. So we don't need that. So we've got our nice, it doesn't matter how messy. I've tried it with scissors. It was a little bit difficult with scissors, but it really doesn't matter how, like, nobody's going to see it. So not worried about the pen marks or the pencil marks, and because it's all going to be hidden. It's magic. That's as far as the recipient knows, it's magic. So that's all you need to worry about. Okay, so that is what this piece is now going to look at. We have our 2 channels for our Ziploc bag, and that's going to fold in like that, and it's going to look so pretty. People are going to be amazed. Okay, so the next step is now to take our Ziploc bag. I'm actually going to move that. And we're going to use some double-sided tape. I really would recommend the double-sided tape for this because glue, I've not made it with glue, so I honestly cannot tell you if that would work or not. And I really don't want you to be disappointed. So it would be horrible to have to go through all the effort. not to mention the expense of cutting everything and it not working. I just think the double-sided tape on the plastic just works that much better. So you do want to be careful and make sure that you are not cutting more than what you need. And I think I just cut my Ziploc bag. Give me 1 second. I was kind of all over the place with that. Boy, oh boy. No, I think I'm good. Okay, so I've got my little piece of score tape. So with the tape side facing up, I'm going to line that right up at the top like this. Okay, I'm going to peel this part back. So with the tape facing up, I'm going to roll my my Ziploc bag all the way down the back side, and I'm coming up and over and just tapping that lightly so it adheres. You don't want it too tight, obviously, because then your mechanism is not going to work. You want to trim off what you have left over and don't mess around with it too much, because the next part is pretty important. So we have our tape up at the top here. I'm going to fold that over and I'm going to apply tape at the bottom now. So same kind of idea. I am going to pre-cut mine, and this way I don't have to hold the roll. I'm going to apply this at the bottom. Okay, so tape at the top here, and when we fold it, tape at the bottom. So I'm not going to take that off quite yet, because we do need to do some layering first. So we're going to take our pieces, the piece of designer paper that is the widest. So this is the 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. Sorry, 4 1/4. My gosh, where did that come from? This is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. I'm going to set that one aside because that's going to go on the outside. And I'm going to take this piece right now. So we're taking our 2 longer pieces. So this piece is the piece that measures 2 1/4 by 4 1/8. We've got our piece that measures 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. It's supposed to be. I didn't cut this properly. I didn't think so. That's why I was dry fitting it. So let me just trim off this part that I don't need. It's supposed to be 3 3/8. Oh, and it's decidedly bigger, but that's okay. I'm so far not throwing any little pieces away, even though they may be ridiculously small. I want to get to the end and just figure out what it is that I might need for a quilt card, and then we can use that. So this is going to be applied. So you're going to apply that right at the top. If you are wanting to do any fancy cutting with your corners, now would be the time to do it before you apply this on. And the reason being, so if I took I've got a little crocodile that has the scallop and stub. And so I'm just going to use the stub side to go like that. And if I want to duplicate the same thing on the designer paper, you really should do it before you apply the designer paper onto the matte layer. And this way you'll get a nice border extending all the way around. So we're going to apply that right to the top. We don't need any of the extra down here. And I'm sorry, I had given you the wrong measurement in the sense that when I had my panic attack, kind of, this piece is supposed to measure 2 1/8 by 4. I had cut it at 2 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then was looking at another measurement which said 3 3/8. But once it's all done, you're not going to see this bottom part anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So just so you know, it will work with a smaller piece. So I'm just going to layer this up Got something going on with my glue bottle I haven't fixed yet. So, okay. So now I'm going to layer this like so. Oh my goodness, I'm not doing very well today. Holy. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. So that's going to go like that. And then we can take our other piece and layer up as well. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the corners. You can use anything. If you want to round at the corners, then round the corners. If you have any kind of corner trim or border punch, you could certainly do that as well. Don't go too far down because you do still need to have something for the recipient to pull, hopefully. So I'm going to apply some glue to the back of this piece. Okay. So, before we start applying anything, I do want to make sure that we punch a hole. We need to punch a hole in the taller of the two. And that way, you know, the recipient, you don't have, I mean, I punched a hole and thread a ribbon through it. You can certainly leave it as it is, because there will be something for them to pull. They just may not know to pull it. So, and I feel like a ribbon would kind of give that indication. So I'm going to grab, let's see. Now everything's coming down. Oh boy. Okay. So I'm going to grab my hole punch. I don't know how big this hole punch is. I want to say that it's like 1/4 of an inch maybe. I don't know. I like kind of using the bigger ones sometimes because if you wanted to use a nice ribbon, then you can, as opposed to trying to feed a ribbon through an itty bitty hole. That never, ever, ever works for me. As it is, I see that I have this on my desk and I'm going to be using this. So I really could have used the smaller of the two, but I may switch this out later. And for your ribbon, I mean, I just kind of make a loop, feed it through, and then get the tails to come out. And it's pretty simple. Very simple, but this one was really long. So, and we can, I just realized I did it with the wrong one, but that's okay. I guess there, you know, there really isn't a wrong way. You can do it both ways. You're supposed to be doing it with this one. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. You take this one, you punch your hole, you're trying to get it as in the middle as possible, but I'm leaving a gap here as well. So there's a little bit of space there. Oh, I feel like I'm rushing myself and I apologize. That was the wrong thing to punch, but hopefully you're just following along, not following along. Hopefully you're watching this, learning from my mistakes. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so now we're set. Okay, so before we go and attach any of our pieces, we need to put another piece of our wonderful double-sided score tape, or double-sided tape, I guess, and apply it. So this is the piece where we have our two pieces of Ziplock kind of, you know, adhered together here. So you're going to put another piece of double-sided tape on top of where that seam is. So this, we're just going to peel that back. We are going to take the tag that's got your ribbon on it, and we are going to flip it downwards. Okay, so now your ribbon is pointed towards you. The bottom of the tag is what's going to be adhered to this piece of score tape that we just applied. Okay, so everything is laid out the way you see it. What I am going to do, just so that I can get a better vantage point here, is I'm going to rotate it. So score tape is here, bottom of the tag. We are going to line this up. You want to line the bottom of the tag. Oh boy, please don't stick. There we go. The bottom of the tag is getting lined up with the bottom of with the side here. I am making sure that we are also within the score line, right? So we don't want to overlap that. So the best way to do it is making sure that we have okay, so the best way to do it is to make sure that we've got our sides aligned at this side. So the bottom first, then the side, making sure that we're not crossing over on that score line, and voila. Okay, so we've got our first piece stuck down. The next thing that we're going to do is flip that over. And what we are going to do here is we are going to apply our second piece, and this time it's going to go face up. And we're going to do the very same thing. So we're going to peel our score tape like so. We are lining up the bottom of the tag with the bottom here, not the tag here. You want to ignore that for the time being. So this piece is going to go face up, and we are making sure that that is also pretty well centered, so that we're giving it a little bit of space on either side. It will fit in perfectly with maybe like a little hair on either side. Okay, so now we've got all of our pieces in. The very last piece that we need to put on is we need to actually seal this, and that's what we're going to be doing next. So this little tab that we had scored originally, that is 3/8 of an inch, we're going to take our 1/4 inch score tape and just run that along the bottom. And we are going to peel that off. So this is kind of an important part. So I'm going to kind of stand so that I can bring this up a little bit. So when I fold this, you'll see that there's a little bit of space, right, in between those two. So we want this piece to actually go up and over, so that we're actually adhering, kind of wrapping that. So as you pull, I should really hold it like this. As you pull, now that you've got your mechanism that works. Ooh. Our 2 white pieces, I haven't forgotten about them. You may have thought I did, but I haven't, because it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. So now this, as you know, this is how the card kind of looks laid out. Trying to remember. Okay, so I've got a piece. This is a piece we set aside. That is a piece that's 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. That's going to lay on the front. If you wanted to stamp anything, write a message, that would layer up with the larger of the 2 white pieces. And then we have another white piece which will fit in right here. So these 2 white pieces, really, the sizes are going to depend on what kind of message or stamp you're going to use. Obviously, with the outside, you really can't go much larger than this piece. which is the 2 by 3 1/4. This piece can be, you know, really whatever size you want it to be. On the one that I did, this was a very small message. Like, there wasn't anything that I was going to write on it. You do also have the back side as an option as well. So if you wanted this to be like a big birthday kind of collage of stamps, you could absolutely do that. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm not putting this on right now because I don't have anybody that I really want to, that I'm making this for. So I'm going to leave this blank because I feel like that's where my message would go. But I can stamp on this. I'm just not going to do it right now. So I'm going to grab my glue. I'm going to layer this up. And I should have grabbed a gift card, because the gift card, I want to show you, prove to you that it actually fits. So the gift card will fit on this side. So I'm going to slide that back in. So it will fit on the top side where you have your ribbon. That is where your gift card will go. As I can prove to you that there was a gift card here, so it does fit. It is like the perfect width, so it does make the a very perfect and a very special gift card holder. So out of everything, we have now added 3 gift cards to that. So it's 25 cards, 3 gift cards, and we still have some leftovers. So here are the leftover pieces that I have right now. I'm still kind of entertaining some of, you know, we can use, let me move that off to the side. So you've got a piece that is 12 by 3 3/8. We have a piece that is 7 3/8 by 6 5/8. We have a piece that is 4 by 3 1/2. And then we have these. So these are probably the pieces that I would be using for something like a quilt card that we made with some of the leftovers from the Valentine's Day paper that we were using. So again, there's quite a bit that you can do with with these leftovers. You can make more gatefolds. You can make more Z folds. You can make more gift cards, or just make whatever cards you would like to make. So, anyways, I'm hopefully you have found this tutorial series interesting and helpful, and hopefully you've liked them and are inspired by them. I know that it's been so much fun, and I really hope you have had fun too. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully you've watched all the other videos. And if you've watched this one and found it at all useful or helpful or inspiring in any way, shape, or form, hopefully you give me a big old thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And I will definitely answer any questions, and I reply to absolutely every comment. Hopefully, if you haven't already subscribed, you subscribe by hitting the subscribe button at the very bottom or the watermark on the very lower right hand side. That will subscribe you to my channel, and the bell will make sure that you don't miss any future videos. Hopefully you are having a fabulous day and you are staying safe and well. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.